A very warm welcome here in Côte d'Ivoire. We are in the Palais des Sports de Treichville in Abidjan, and just a few short minutes away from tipping things off between this Group A Classic between host nation Côte d'Ivoire and the visitors from Egypt. And it's going to be a very interesting battle this evening on the hardwoods. Really a classic matchup between the established order of Egypt and the rising talent and the rising program that is Côte d'Ivoire. So expect a good one. Both these teams doing very well for themselves in their opening games in Group A action, with Côte d'Ivoire dispensing with Chad 104-51 and Egypt taking down Nigeria by a count of 95-68. So both teams getting off to very fabulous starts. And with Chad defeating Nigeria today, one of these teams will join Chad at 1-1, and the other will move on to 2-0, and certainly be the heavy favorite to win Group A. Important matchup, of course, for the Côte d'Ivoire here on their home floor in Abidjan. They're here to demonstrate just how far they've come along in basketball development. And Egypt looking to make amends for losing to Rwanda in the final of their Zone 5 qualifier. They managed to get through as the runners-up in Zone 5. But certainly with a bitter aftertaste from that tournament, dropping the gold medal match in Cairo, by the way, to Rwanda. And of course, we've seen Rwanda mixed results, didn't do so well in their opening matchup, but that's the way basketball works. Here comes Larouchi Alden from Algeria, who is our referee for tonight. He'll be assisted by Okach Doroti from Botswana and Bouhaba Zuhir from Morocco. And that is the arbitrage for this evening's matchup. This, of course, the penultimate fixture today. We've already seen Chad against Nigeria, with Chad pulling out a famous upset against the Tigre of Nigeria. Mali dispensed with Gabon in fairly substantial fashion in the game just preceding this. And following this matchup, we will have the nightcap, 1930 UTC, which is also, by the way, the local time in Abidjan, 21:30 in Central European time, between Madagascar and Morocco. And that will be another Francophile match brought to you by Malik Daho. So for now, I'm John Modden, and it is my pleasure and a privilege to bring you this matchup between the Pharaohs and Les Elephants, the team from Egypt, and here now in picture Côte d'Ivoire wearing white this evening. The fading into the traditional orange and green of the Ivory Coast, and Egypt in their traditional red kit will take the floor, and we're just a few seconds away from the tip-off. Should be a very interesting matchup indeed. We'll get into more of the specifics as we move along. Let's have a look to see who can control the tip and get things off to the best start. It will be Eshui jumping for the Ivory Coast, going up against Hendawi for Egypt. Egypt controls the tip. They are once again in red, moving from right to left across your screen here in the first period of play. Hamdawi takes the pass, drives into the lane, spins, and is firmly rejected. Good block there by Eshui. Côte d'Ivoire moving quickly. Unforced error, a violation, and a turnover. Hussein Youssef to inbound for the Pharaohs. Ibrahim brings the ball up past the timeline. Leaves it there for Hendawi. Loose ball picked up by Côte d'Ivoire. Out to the wing. Three-point attempt is just a little bit long. Got to get the rangefinder adjusted. Does Jacko. Still waiting for the first basket to fall. Three-point attempt from Youssef. Bit off the mark. Good local crowd, getting a little bit raucous. They got some dancers upstairs. They're going to be moving up and about, giving some support to Les Elephants. Driving into lane, scoring the first bucket of the ball game is Bahri. Ahmed Bahri with the account opener for Egypt. Good look into the low post, and we'll have a basket interference, goaltending, if you will. So that bucket will count. Good look and a wonderful assist for Côte d'Ivoire to get themselves up on the scoreboard. Egypt likes to run with the ball, as you can see. Second block of the game, they're going to have trouble against those bigs from Côte d'Ivoire. Going coast to coast and getting it to fall. Jacko gets his name noted on the score sheet already here in the early going, and Côte d'Ivoire with an early game lead 4-2, 8:20 to play in the first quarter. Egypt driving, good follow, and a nice finish by Shaib. I said Shaib, I meant Sohaib, of course. I was about to say, thought he might have gotten away with a foul there, but Shui fouled in the act of shooting, and he will go to the line and try to turn that into a bonus trip. There they are. Well, right now they're seated and doing the percussion, but they will be up and about, and quite a sight to see. Good raucous crowd they've had for the first game. That, of course, the famous win against Chad. As Eshui makes it a three-point trifecta. Coast to coast, and just a little bit too much mustard left out of the ball by Omar Mustafa. One out to the wings for three, and deposited neatly by Kwame Zeze. Karolendo Kwame Zeze with a three-pointer. And Ivory Coast out to a 6-point lead in the early going. Unforced error, and make that 2 as Ibrahim returns the favor and delivers up court to Sohaib, and he rattles one home. Sohaib doing good business here in the early going for Egypt. Kicked out to the wing. There, Ake tries to spin out of the defense, and his opposite number manages to pick his pocket. Here's an attempt for three. That coming from Hendawi. And unfortunately, he has not gotten his sights adjusted. Wonderful assist, just really couldn't quite get the handle on it the last minute. But rung up for a foul as Okach Doherty. Doherty Okach, rather, sorry. Rings up a foul. And at the line to shoot a couple, Eshui. Chris Junior Eshui. 17-year-old, plays for the Jeunesse Club d'Abidjan. From the line on that trip, as Youssef holds things up and allows the traffic to flow. From the point, Sohaib into the key, runs into traffic and cannot cobble anything together. Out to the wing, baseline. Oh, a little too quick for the liking of Ngoli. Bakri, Youssef. Yeah, they're going to learn, or they're not going to learn, but going into the lane, you do at your peril against the bigs from Côte d'Ivoire. Tenacious defense there in the paint. Three-pointer from the coast comes up short. Ibrahim leaves it off for Youssef. Pick and roll to no avail. And another ball tapped out of possession. Chance in transition for Côte d'Ivoire. They'll hold it up and set up the offense. From the point, Jacko. Jacko picks up a pick, launches one from three, can't get it to fall. I don't know if an alley-oop was in the offing there, but the pass wasn't really on the mark, and going down hard is Belal Sohaib. And a couple of substitutions. Haven't had a whole lot of substitutions. These fellas on the floor were more or less the starting five and have gone more than half of the first period. As we get a look at the big man, 6'10", 2 meters 9 for those of you on the metric system, which is of course most of us. At the tender young age of 15, Rafael Ouedraogo, playing basketball currently in the United States for the Wilson Academy. So the big youngster checking into the ball game, and he strikes a real figure down there. Look at him lined up next to Bakri. Alden Larouchi, referee from Algiers. First of a pair is good for Sohaib. Plays for the venerable Al Ahly Sporting Club in Cairo. Turnover. Chance to cut into that deficit for the Pharaohs. Shot underway, in and out. Cleared out by Kwame Zeze. Well, that was Kwame Zeze with the shot. It was Hudson with the rebound. As we get familiar with the players on the floor. Youssef we've seen plenty of times on ball already. Trying to get things started from the far wing. He gets in trouble, dishes off to Bakri, and Bakri gets him out of a jam. Well, it was creative and not very pretty, and just couldn't fall for Hudson. Ibrahim tries his luck, throws up a prayer going down. He'll have a trip to the charity stripe. Blocking foul against the Coast. Begad Ibrahim at the line to shoot a couple. First one is in and out. Second one just a little bit better for him. 3:37 to go in the first period with Hudson working against tenacious Egyptian defense, which causes a turnover and a jamalama for Rami Mahdi, the captain. Mahdi, the 18-year-old, plays for Al Ittihad. Azimna, three-pointer, mark it down. Jason Ake with 13 points rather. And there's the fire plug, or the spark plug of that Egyptian offense when he's in there. Diab, he's a real go-getter. Those fellows we like to call the connector, Mohamed Diab. Up-tempo player. Very active. Kind of a more diminutive version of Kurt Rambis. As Ake drives the lane, doesn't like what he sees and kicks it back out. Hudson finds Ngoli down on the baseline, and Ngoli manages to stay in there and fight for his worth, and he gets a second chancer to fall. Good bucket for Côte d'Ivoire. Chance for a turnover. Ake couldn't quite get the handle, but he's still got possession. He's just going to throw one up from three because he's not covered. Just didn't really have that set up very well. A little scrap for the ball. Rodrigo tying up with Sohaib. Here another look at that lovely shot from downtown from the 18-year-old Jason Ake. Possession arrow favoring Côte d'Ivoire in this instance. And they will inbound. I told you they'd be up and about. They will be at that all evening long. I don't know who's working harder out there, the five on the floor or the folks upstairs. Well, they thought they'd found a clever solution by working the ball into Brian Ngoli, who was camped out in the paint. But Hudson just couldn't thread the needle. As we get a look at Stéphane Konaté, head coach for Côte d'Ivoire. Diab. Bahri. Back to Diab. Diab. Try his luck in the paint. And he comes away with no basket, but a parting gift, as he will receive an all expenses paid trip to the free throw line. Protesting from Sohaib. If there's one thing officials appreciate, it's an 18-year-old telling them how to do their job. Being sarcastic, of course. Diab buries the first free throw. Diab cuts the deficit to 3 points for the Pharaohs, and we'll have a timeout. It's been an entertaining game to watch so far. Neither team exactly shooting it was a substitution rather than a timeout. Neither team shooting the lights out of the ball from the field, but a lot of good defense, ball movement. There's an attempt from 3, and just what I was talking about, still a bit cold from the field are both teams. There's a kick out for an attempt from 3, and boy, nobody can buy a three-pointer at this point. Diop will get the honors. Oh, he absolutely put the juice on Jocko. Diop with an absolute move. Yeah, that was a nowhere to go for Oka. Jean-Philippe Oka got himself into trouble. That's very close to a traveling violation. There's a tray. Natan Jocko drops a 3 spot. The 15-year-old has made a good impact here, good impression in the early going. There's the timeout. As both teams will have the opportunity to talk things over. Could have waited another 30 seconds and we'd be at the quarter break, but live action. Half a minute to go, and Egypt would like nothing more than to cut the deficit to 2, if not 1. That would have cut it to 1 had it fallen. They'll get another crack at it. I'm not 100% certain, but I think that Alden Naoushi had a comment about the shot clock and whether it was accidentally reset or should have reset is the question. Yeah, that's it. Now it's going to be down to 4.9. Yeah, I think it was reset off the previous shot attempt. So ever alert, the arbitrage, as Laroussi, the Algerian referee, paying attention out there on the hardwood. From the corner. Well, he needed to hurry, but perhaps not that much. So with 5 seconds, I believe, remaining in the quarter. Or did we, in fact, reach the end of the period? That we did. End of the quarter, with Côte d'Ivoire leading Egypt by a count of 21-17. Let's listen in.
Jaco, ok, si Jaco est ici. Screen, qui donne le ballon tout de suite. Et quand c'est Jason, tu cours le ballon, tu attaques. Si les gars ici, tu donnes à Okaïti, ou bien tu finis toi seul. On a 5 secondes. 5 secondes, c'est suffisant. C'est suffisant pour. Ok? C'est bon. Et on finit ça. On ne fait pas. On ne fait pas. Let's go. Finish Jaco. 1, 2, 3, finish.
Sorry for the audio difficulty. So Jaco, who currently leads all scorers with a tally to equal his shirt number, which is 7, of course, tried to float one. Well, he tried to get an alley-oop in to set up Jean-Philippe Oka, but really probably needed to loft that just a little bit more, but difficult to judge how much time is exactly remaining. But we had plenty of offensive highlights in that first period of play. And until now, everything that we could have anticipated from this matchup between two Group A heavyweights has been on display. 21-17 after one quarter. We'll get started again here in a short while. Proud tradition of U18 basketball for Egypt. 6 U18 AfroBasket titles, tied with Nigeria for the most. Most recent championship coming in 2022. Côte d'Ivoire has never won this competition. Their best finish was second in 2012. Last year, neither team did particularly well. Egypt finishing 5th, Côte d'Ivoire disappointing 9th. Diab to Mahdi, captain. Hands the ball off to Abdeldaim. Nifty pass from Sahin to get himself out of a jam. And Abdeldaim deposits it in the basket to get things started here in the second quarter. Azema from the wing, air ball, misses all. Diab kicks it out to the wing to Mahdi, and the captain puts Egypt up by a point. Driving, dishing, back into the paint. Good tight look at just how physical it is down inside as Jean-Philippe Oka tries his luck in the low post. He'll have to earn his points the old-fashioned way, that from the free throw line. First shot, not his best effort. Turnover, and just a little too hasty. Yeah, got a little bit too greedy, did Côte d'Ivoire, for the transition basket, and the pass up court was just a little too hasty. The dime, the ball back to Diab. Diab over the timeline. Against Jaco. Jaco not giving him anything. off the screen. Sahin. Mustafa Shaheen. Ball thrown up at the end of the allotted time is no good. Son leaves it behind. Griego. Big fella making his presence known. Diab stripped to the ball. Rodrigo, yes! Rodrigo with 2 consecutive baskets. And Abdeldaim holds things up. Diab running the offense. Diab tried his luck in those tall trees. He does manage to draw a foul off of Rafael Rodrigo. Timeout called. And then we give the teams a chance to talk it over. Let's see if we're mic'd up and get you some audio out of one of the huddles. Animated pep talk from the Egyptian coach, Rafik Safbini. That was 7 minutes and 28 seconds left to go in the first half. Hamed Diab is at the free throw line. Not a fruitful trip to the charity stripe for Diab. And Hudson brings the ball up court for Côte d'Ivoire. Transition in the lane, finger roll one in, but can't get it to fall. There's a shot from 3. Nice stroke. Lovely shot from Jean-Philippe Oka. Oka's 5th points, his 6th points of the game. Mahdi reverses his field. He'll try it again. Pulls up. Caught under the basket with a little room to operate. Tamer. Mustafa Tamer Shaheen manages to draw a foul. Will be afforded the opportunity to shoot a couple from the charity stripe. The substitutions once again earlier today in the first match this afternoon. It was Chad defeating Nigeria as we take a timeout. 59-50. Mali just absolutely took care of business against Gabon. 113-37 the final score. And let's see if we can't pick up some audio out of the huddle. I know one thing about that Côte d'Ivoire bench. The most popular guy down there is your man who's coming by and giving everybody a little ice massage. That's got to feel good on a warm evening here in Abidjan. Open air stadium. The fella coming along with those ice bags has got to be very popular amongst the players. At the line, Tamer, Mustafa Shaheen. Trying to do something about that 5-point deficit. Egypt are currently spotting Côte d'Ivoire, cuts it to 4. Hudson against a bit of midcourt pressure from Ibrahim. Pick and roll. Oh, except the roll was with a little bit of a misstep as Eshui could not get the handle on the ball. Ibrahim working against Hudson. Tamer. Tamer drives the lane, kicks it out, and just didn't put enough stamps on the package. Hussein Youssef unable to catch the pass, but it will remain Pharaoh ball. Cross court pass. Tamer stuffed. Oh, and spoken to. Not bad enough that Shui just absolutely stuffed the living daylights out of that shot, but he had a couple of words of wisdom afterwards. I'm sure they were something along the lines of welcome to Abidjan, have a nice stay. Bonjour, bonsoir, comment ça va? Or perhaps something more along the lines of not in my house. Jocko. Fighting for everything that he's worth as a Shui, trying to notch a couple more points up on the score sheet. He's just unable to do it. Tamer brings the ball over the timeline. Hussein Youssef, 16-year-old. Boy, he looks 16 for sure. Good-looking youngster. Gets the ball cross court. Lovely look. Tell you what, he might be 16 years old, but he can spot him up like anybody. Found Ahmed down to the low post, wide open. And just hit him with a laser. Cuts the deficit to 2. Hudson trying to do something about that. Tip back up and in. And making himself very useful indeed is Ngoli. Five minutes to go here in the second half. We got exactly the matchup we were hoping to see. Tamer driving the baseline, kicks it back out to the trailer. He tries to put up a floater. And disappointing offensive possession for Egypt. Tamer will find himself on the wrong side of the Fox 40 from Dorothy Okac. Rung up for a foul. Tamer will check out. Checking back into the ball game for the Pharaohs is Hendawi. There's Ake. Just the old Trico. Looking for an option. Finds it in Kwame Zeze. Ake drives the baseline. Slipped up there. Ooh, that's not good. And you see the guys with the mops coming over. Well, too little, too late. Must have been a little bit slick down on the floor because Ake went down like a ton of bricks. We'll go over and put some pressure on his opposite number, half-heartedly. As Youssef will bring the ball up over the timeline against Jocko. Mahdi. And Hendawi. Hendawi. Take it down low and then kick it out. And I believe we've got an away from the ball foul. It's going to be against the Coast. Couple of substitutions amongst others. The big 15-year-old Rafael Drago back into the ball game. Mahdi from three. He had one of them already next to his name on the score sheet. Couldn't put another one up there. That's the way to work it out amongst the arbiters. Go over, get a conference, and discuss it and come up with the right call. Well done. Mahdi, second three-point miss in a row. One from the top of the key that just will not fall for Ahmed. And a traveling violation will yield possession. Jocko still leads all scorers with the same amount of points as his shirt number, but he's been on that since the quarter break. Hasn't been a plethora of scoring here in the third quarter. Coming down to the ground, but not wisely not getting back up. There's Ake. Hits the big man at the top of the key and just didn't have the right stroke on it. Drago unable to connect. Here's a loose ball picked up by Jocko. Well, I thought he might be getting the 8th and 9th point, but he just wasn't going to get him as easily as he might have hoped. Ahmed not giving up anything without a fight. Side foul, Ahmed. Said, nope, you're going to have to go shoot him from the line. And Nathan Jocko does exactly that. Gets the first of two. Years young, plays for the Hypersonics here in Abidjan. I think I like that name better than Supersonics. Certainly faster. Half a dozen the margin. as Hussein brings the ball over the timeline. Picks up a couple of screens. Offensive foul called. Okay. From the wing, from the top of the key. Oh, and a lovely stroke as Kwame Zeze drops another tray. Turnover, second chance are no good, and a disappointing result as Côte d'Ivoire could have really done some damage off of that turnover. As it turns out, Egypt manages to pick up a bucket at the opposite end with just a little bit over 2 minutes left to play. Boy, neither team can capture the momentum, because as soon as they think they got it, why, the other team just takes the wind out of the sails. It's really been a seesaw battle, the kind we love to see. Hope you're enjoying it here on the FIBA YouTube channel. We've had a couple of blowouts. It's not a whole heck of a lot of fun to watch, but this one's been entertaining. Animated coaching from Stefan Konate. And we will get a timeout with 1:53 yet to play here in the first half. Let's go down to, and you can see him, he's chosen the Egyptian bench, our man, our gaffer down there. Let's pick up the audio. Rafik Safbini with a bit of an up pepper. Very animated coach, both of them actually. And Egypt breaks the huddle. And Yella, 1:53 left to go, and try to get into the dressing room with a little bit less of a deficit, as the captain Mahdi would certainly like. Rami Mahdi, the 18-year-old. Errant pass picked off and deposited in the basket by the big man, the youngster, Rafael Ouedraogo. Well, we talked about Egypt trying to get a little work done before the half. Côte d'Ivoire had other ideas. Here's Mahdi with another jam. Good answer, and I told you it's almost impossible to steal the momentum in this basketball game. Good composure on each side, not letting the heads hang. And the youngsters are really out there balling tonight. Lovely finish, classy from Ake. Dorothy Okac accepting no foolishness. She's running a tight ship together with Laroussi and Bouhaba. Well officiated game thus far. Great international experience, of course, for the players on the floor. We know that, but for the officials also. An experience and a challenge. Blending the crew from around the African continent. working together. And that third team out there, of course, they're the ones that don't want to be noticed, but they have an equally important job to both of the basketball clubs. Squamezeze runs the lead out to 11 points with 1:05 remaining. This is not what Egypt had envisioned at the opening tip. And I dare say not what we had envisioned as neutral spectators. I suppose the supporters of Côte d'Ivoire felt it coming all along. One up and over the backboard will be counted as out of bounds. 53 seconds remaining. But so far, so good for the home side. Not flawless by any means, but they've really settled in to play some solid basketball. Oh. Foul away from the ball. And that will negate the offensive possession for Côte d'Ivoire. An opportunity for Egypt to try to gain a little bit of that momentum going into the dressing rooms. Tamer working against Jocko. Tried to get a little bit fancy, almost over and backed it. And there's a shot from Diab. He had a travel. Delayed call, but the correct one. As La Rossi comes in to administer the violation. Okay, working against Diab. Azima. Baseline, kick out. Ake, yes, sir. Oui, monsieur. Mais oui. Mahdi denied at the rim. It wasn't Mahdi. My apologies, it was Hendoui, but nonetheless, what an emphatic finish to the first half of play. And the home faithful are enjoying themselves immensely. Well, they've come to show something, and that they have. Côte d'Ivoire here in the Palais de Sport de Treichville in Abidjan, and their home U18 side really putting on a show for the crowd. 44-30 the count at the end of the first half, and boy, it was just a nice stretch down there at the end for Les Elephants. Now the Pharaohs will go in and discuss strategy, and they're going to have to come out of the halftime a rejuvenated team if they're going to run with the Elephants, because the fellas from Côte d'Ivoire came here tonight to ball, and ball out they have. We're going to take the 15-minute break as well, and we'll be back to rejoin festivities. You're watching your AfroBasket 2026 from Abidjan. The silence before the storm. And if you looked at the spectators here, you might think that Côte d'Ivoire trails Egypt. Nothing could be further from the truth. 44-30, the halftime score, with Les Elephants leading the Pharaohs by 14 points. I suspect everyone's just resting up for the second half, as they know that there is a lot of basketball spectacle yet to behold here from this venue, the Palais des Sports de Treichville here in Abidjan. As the last second adjustments being made and discussed there over on the bench from Les Elephants. Head coach Stéphane Konaté reminding everyone of what they discussed and agreed to at halftime, as does Rafik Safbini, head coach of Masr, Egypt, as it's known in the lingua franca. And what answer, if any, will Egypt be able to cobble together to answer a very spirited and very effective Ivory Coast ball club? That we shall see, starting in just a few brief seconds as Jean-Philippe Oka gets ready to get things started. Hudson down into the low post. Kick back out to the three-point arch and around the top of the circle. Back to the point for Hudson. Hudson driving, rejected. Hendawi already getting active here in the second half of play. Mahdi, the captain. And a little bit too much of an ask for Mahdi on the return pass. So an unforced error. If we look at the halftime statistics, you'd be surprised, I think, to see that Egypt faring very well for themselves in a lot of categories. They out-rebounded Côte d'Ivoire by a fairly decent margin. But a couple things that really stand out are the steals, 11-3 in favor of Les Elephants, and the points off turnovers and fast break points. Points off turnovers, 23-6 in the advantage of the home side, and the fast break points are 16-6 in the first half. There's one that comes up just a little bit short for a three-pointer. Hudson moving quickly. Transition basketball, they'll kick it back out and run the offense. Hudson, not afraid to drive in against the bigs, kicks it out to the wing, and there's Oka, Jean-Philippe Oka. Lots of extra chances, and yet another, and they'll just go ahead and kick it back out to Hudson for three. He bounces it off the backboard. Kind of lost track of the amount of choices, of the amount of chances that they had, and Jean-Philippe Oka showing a bit of frustration, as well he might. 17-year-old who plays currently in the United States for an outfit called the Brave Lions. We'll get a chance, we'll see a chance taken by a fellow who did not get a lot of time in the first half, but is the captain, Médard Dabaré, Médard Dabaré, the captain for Les Elephants. Does not do great business at the line, but yet once again, Côte d'Ivoire in possession. Driving down the lane, and yeah, at a certain point, you're just going to run into other people, as Chris Junior Eshui finds out. Blocking foul drawn. So Eshui, who plays for the Jeunesse Club d'Abidjan. 17-year-old knocks down one. Percussion session active already here in the second half of play as they were in the first. Second one to miss, but yet once again an offensive rebound, but short-lived. Possession now for Egypt and a chance as Youssef brings the ball over the timeline. Bahri. Mahdi. Hendawi to Youssef. Youssef backs it out. Mahdi, leading scorer for Egypt at this juncture with 7 points. And there's a fella who was very present in the first half, and that's the #1 scorer for not only Côte d'Ivoire, but on the floor at the moment, Kwame Zeze. Good look and a good rounding off by Hendawi. Egypt trying to maintain tempo, and Côte d'Ivoire is getting off to a little bit of a run. Shui now with a couple. And the biggest lead of the ball game, and it's a substantial lead. 18 points now, the lead for Les Elephants. Youssef tripped up, blocking foul. It's not Youssef, it was Bahri. Mahdi driving, switches hands and draws a foul. The captain, Ami Mahdi. Figured in very substantially in the game against Nigeria when that broke open in the third quarter, and he scored 5 straight. Of course, then it was Egypt who had an 18-point advantage. They're on the other side of the, they're on the opposite side of the scoreboard this time. That's another free throw and cuts the deficit to 16 points. Jason Ake brings the ball up the floor for Côte d'Ivoire. Eshui now. Kicks it out to Dabire. Dabire with his first points of the ball game. Ball lost out of bounds, and it will be a turnover. Loose ball, mad scramble, Côte d'Ivoire controls. Little floater will not go. Oka trying to will one into the basket. Hussein Youssef. Hendawi. Bahri and Mahdi. Mahdi working against Ngoli. Tries to work one in underneath. From distance, lovely stroke and an important basket for Assad Hendawi. The 18-year-old showing a little bit of court leadership out there. Zeze. And Côte d'Ivoire formulated an answer to everything the Egyptians throw at them. Noe. Hot hand is temporarily cooled off. Mahdi thought better of going against two of the Elephants. Tries one from distance, can't get it to fall, but luckily has a friend in Hamdoui who gets the putbacker. The captain brings the ball up the floor. Oh, and it just gets stuck there in the crotch of the basket as Morsi makes his first appearance in the ball game. Côte d'Ivoire calling for a jump ball. A timeout called at the back end of that discussion. Yeah, they are up and about, and rightfully so. And I think the discussion was about what to do with the ball nestled in the rim. And if the ball would have become, and once again, this is just based on a layman's knowledge of FIBA rules, my thought was that only if the ball becomes well and truly stuck in the basket or in the rim, between the rim and the backboard, that then we would have a jump ball situation. Ball really never was stuck. It freed itself immediately, and then we had the tie up. But that's my 2 cents worth, which may not even be worth that much. Still waiting on Egypt as we have a little bit of a discussion between the referee and Rafik Safbini. That discussion has come to an end. Pharaohs reemerge on the hardwood floor. And we've got 4:14 left here in the third quarter. 16-point lead for Côte d'Ivoire against Egypt. Strachby with the inbounder to Hamdoui. Hamdoui driving to the rim. Picks up a foul on his way there. It's the second personal foul on Ouedraogo. At the line to shoot a pair. Hemdawi. Ake. Wamazeze. Ake, three-pointer. Unrelentless. And a turnover. This is just an absolute exhibition now. And Egypt just absolutely not able to get themselves back into the ball game. Point lead at this juncture, and it could get worse. Rodrigo with a very classy finish. That from a 15-year-old. Get a chance to make it a three-point trip. Might have to work on his free throw shooting back there at the academy. Rodrigo playing for the Wilson Academy in the United States. .338 remaining. Diab. Diab. Inbounder, Jaco. Pull up for Jason Ake. Rafik Safbini. Spinning in and out of trouble. Is Ahmed. Two minutes to go in the third, and an 18-point lead for Les Elephants from Côte d'Ivoire. Sincef Hudson for the inbound. Azema back to Hudson. Ngoli. Azema step back jumper for three, couldn't get it to fall. So fouled while shooting, I believe it was by Hendoui. And Dimitri Azema will go to the line. The 18-year-old plays in France for Bologna, the Metropolitans. Joined now around the key by his teammates, and I thought it was just in the nick of time, Madriago for a putbacker, but he couldn't get a handle on the rebound. Abdeldaim drives the lane to no avail. He came out of the wedding with no peas, and only an Egyptian would understand that. Ngoli. A very complacent crowd at this point. They're just sitting back and being entertained at this juncture. I don't know. I don't know if their work is done. It all kind of depends on what Egypt may still have in store. It's a proud basketballing country, and I am sure they are absolutely filthy about the way things are going. And it only takes a spark to get a fire going. I'll tell you what, somebody who's got a absolute fire in his heart is Stéphane Konaté. He's been up and at 'em throughout the game, and he has got to be pleased as punch with his fellows out there out on the court. Côte d'Ivoire showing no signs of taking the foot off the gas pedal. Although Jean-Philippe Oka gets himself in a bit of strife in the key. Hudson. Little mid-range jumper. That's a tough one to make, as evidenced by Ouedraogo. Tamer. And a foul rung up against Team Egypt. And with less than a minute remaining, Côte d'Ivoire looking to see what they can do before the final pause. As Mahdi checks back into the ball game. Hudson. Hudson kicks it out to the far wing, and Ngoli. Nothing doing. Third, fourth chance now. Ouedraogo, nope. Ngoli from the wing gets it into Ouedraogo, and he says, give me a little close to the basket. I'll put one in. Might not be money from the free throw line. Be down the low post. I'll hook you up with a two-pointer. Mahdi directing traffic. Runs out of time. Well, you get to a juncture where you just feel like you can't do anything right. And right now, that's got to be the feeling going through that young Egyptian squad, as it is all les éléphants at this moment. We'll talk it over. We'll take a brief pause and resume festivities in the fourth quarter.
c'est là. Ça, c'est là. Quand je orange, vous serez ici pour marquer. Ne forcez rien. OK? Ne forcez les filles. OK?
Sorry for the audio difficulties. A couple of technical issues. The gremlins getting into the system. Hopefully we won't have any interruptions. We can bring you the pictures here from Abidjan. Bit of a challenge at the moment. Yeah. He has made a spectacle out of himself, and I mean that in the most positive way possible. 12 points for Rodrigo. Rodrigo checks out of the ball game. Tamer to inbound. Ibrahim. Dimitri Azema checking back into the ball game. Ibrahim to Tamer. Trying to shake off Nathan Jaco. Traveling violation called. Azema deposits another field goal. Yeah, this has become a rout. There's no way to sugarcoat it. 28 points to lead. And Egypt just facing one difficulty after another. Jaco. Can't get that one to fall, but he's had plenty others go his way. Jaco, as I said, yeah, you can flex. When you're beating the top African side by 30 points, you can throw up a little flex. Seven minutes remaining. And it's turned into an onslaught here in Abidjan. The Elephants are trampling Egypt, pun intended. Look at frustration as expected on the face of Bahdi. As Jocko goes to the free throw line. Deposits the second one. And the lead is 31 points. Ibrahim kicks out. Mahdi. What it's going to take if they're going to make a dent in the score line. Sohaib rather. Cross quarter. Jocko's been calling for it for about the past 30 seconds. Couldn't get it to fall. And he's fouled by Ibrahim. Kwame rather. Together with Azema, Kwame also plays for the Metropolitans in France, in Bologna. Errant pass from Sohaib. Mahdi runs into traffic, ran into Jocko down in the paint. Jocko will end up getting written up for a foul. Steal and change possession. Ake, the responsible party. Well, there's one at the other end of the floor. Finish from Sohaib. Azema. Second chancer coming up. Ake chooses to run the offense from the point instead. Azema throws one up from distance, and he's got it. Oh boy. When it rains, it pours, and might be high and dry outside tonight in Abidjan. But it's pouring down on Egypt at the moment. 5:20 to go. always like to see that. Some sportsmanship there down along the restraining lines between Eshui and Sohaib. Rebound for Eshui. Jocko, Eshui. Chris Junior Eshui, 17-year-old at the line. Under 5 minutes now, Ibrahim. Needless foul picked up by Ake. 18 years old, recent 18-year-old. Turned that on the 31st of July. Shaheen at the line. Rejected. Oka loses the handle. Bahri. Man with a familiar name, 16-year-old Laji Konate comes into the ball game for the first time this evening. Shot from distance, connected by Sohaib. Shooting two, says Dorothy Okach. And that will send to the line the man with the familiar last name, Laji Konate. In and out. Second one is good. With 4 minutes to go, it's just a matter of playing out the remaining time, as Côte d'Ivoire is going to enjoy a very famous victory here at their tournament they've hosted. And what started out as a fairly closely pitched battle has just turned into a to a resounding success for Les Éléphants. So Egypt will move to 1-1 and join the likes of Chad in Group A action. Nigeria, the lone team yet to win one of these matches, but host country and hometown favorites Côte d'Ivoire will move to 2-0. We're taking a well-deserved day of rest. Don't forget, more basketball coming up. We've got a nightcap tip-off at 7:30 p.m., 1930 Universal Coordinated Time, which is coincidentally the same time as local time here in Côte d'Ivoire. That would be 21:30 or 9:30 p.m. for those of you on the European continent, with Madrid facing off against Madagascar, excuse me. Must be anticipating the kickoff of football season throughout a lot of Europe this weekend. So tomorrow, full slate of action. C group is up for the men with Cameroon facing off against Rwanda. That's a 2:30 local time tip-off, and at 5 o'clock Tunisia will square off against Senegal. Senegal, who's done very well for themselves here in the tournament. Very entertaining team to watch. And the women will be on display with both groups A and B playing tomorrow. At 11 o'clock, tip-off between CAF and Kenya. With Egypt, the Lady Pharaohs taking on Benin at a 1:30 tip. 4 o'clock, home side Côte d'Ivoire will play against Uganda. And the last game for the ladies competition tomorrow, tipping off at dinner time, 6:30, Mali will face off against Morocco. As for these two teams, they'll be back at it on the 9th on Sunday, together with Group B, with a noon tip-off between Gabon and Morocco at 2:30 in the afternoon. The Egyptians will take on Chad, and that will be a very interesting matchup as well. You know, we lamented Chad at the culmination of their matchup against Nigeria, saying they're not going to get any easier when they have to face off against the Pharaohs on Sunday. Well, we'll see about that, because Chad can take care of themselves very nicely, thank you very much. Big fella by the name of Yaya, who can ball out. And we'll see him square off against these Egyptian Pharaohs on Sunday. That tip-off slated for 2:30. I have the call on that one. If you could put up with me for another couple hours, I'd be happy to have you with us along for the ride. 5 o'clock local time tip-off, we'll have Nigeria against this Côte d'Ivoire team, and that is going to be very, very bad news for the Tiga. The Nigerians are having a rough run of it here at AfroBasket, and it is not going to get any easier on Sunday. And we'll round out the men's action with a game from Group B between Mali and Madagascar, with that tip-off slated for 7:30 local time. Plenty of basketball left. We're about midway through the action, going all the way into Monday with U18 AfroBasket from Abidjan in Côte d'Ivoire. And right now, the pride of Côte d'Ivoire, Les Éléphants, are putting a summary defeat on the Pharaohs from Egypt. 1:45 left to go, left to endure if you're a fan of the Pharaohs. It promised so much and just kind of fizzled out. We saw the writing on the wall in the third quarter, and Egypt could just not cobble together any kind of answer to this wonderful assembly of talent. And we talked about the difference in monikers for these two teams. Egypt, the established order, one of Africa's true basketball powerhouses, and Côte d'Ivoire is on the rise. Fantastic youth development programs are bearing their fruit. And this is a team of the future for sure, but their time has certainly come tonight already, as they put on a wonderful exhibit of youth basketball. That was never going to be very successful. Driving into lane, but without much success, is Diomande, who has also just made his entree into the basketball game. Wonderful showing for the home club, as Hendawi shows a look of frustration that I think we can all understand. And the youngsters, together with the rest of his squad, have just had a rough go of it tonight. Oh my. Lead back out to 30 points. Okay. So in the end, Kwame Zeze will lead all scores with 18 to pace Côte d'Ivoire. It was Rami Mahdi, unless we'll get a few more scores here before it's all said and done, with 37 seconds and change left to go. Oka scored 5 of the game. Stay on 5, but Mahdi with 17 points led the Pharaohs. And difficult really looking at Côte d'Ivoire to pick an MVP. Lot of contribution. Jocko scored 12. The big youngster, Rodrigo, was on 12 as well. Contributed a lot defensively, but very good team effort from Les Éléphants. Step back jumper will not fall. Sign of the times. Tamer from distance, consolation. Very little probably, but it will count for 3 points all the same. As we will get a timeout. Just enough time to get a word in edgewise for the following matchup. 7:30 p.m. GMT, same time as Abidjan. 9:30 or 21:30 on the European continent, Madagascar and Morocco. Game will be broadcast in French. Malik Daho handling the commentary responsibilities, and we'll wish him good luck. And the fans here in this lovely venue in Treichville have something to celebrate for sure. Very famous victory by Les Elephants. And this under-18 squad from Côte d'Ivoire has affixed a lot of pride to basketball in this country. We'll look forward to seeing them again on Sunday as they square off against Chad. Yeah, that would be the operative sign. Don't know if that was 100% necessary. 5 seconds remaining, and spotting the opposition some 25 points. Not exactly the moment for tenacious defense, but a youthful enthusiasm we'll chalk it up to, as Jason Ake looks to add to the 11 points he's already had on the score sheet. It's now an even dozen. Tough outing for the Pharaohs. They'll have to shake it off and bounce back. There's work to do yet. Just once again, come Sunday, they will have to face Chad. I'll be on that call, and I'll be interested to see what the young charges of Rafik Safbini can do against a very inspired Chad basketball outfit. He showed me a lot in the early game against Nigeria. Tournament basketball, no time to sulk. That's the kind of gesture we like to see at the close of a game. Well, certainly if you were here to cheer on your hometown heroes, you have something to be happy about. And there they are. I was hoping for one last shot. They have been active, whether percussing or dancing, and supplying a lovely background buzz and vibe to this game. And an emphatic close to this ball game. And who better than Jean-Philippe Oka to close out the festivities on the hardwoods, as Côte d'Ivoire have notched not only a victory but an important milestone in the progress of this youth program. Famous win against a venerable basketballing country in Egypt. And with a final score of 89-62, Les Elephants have defeated the Pharaohs. And time will only tell just how far and just how successful this team can be in this home affair in Abidjan. But till now, it's been a resounding success. And I'm sure everyone in orange and green would agree with me on that to this juncture. For me, it's been a pleasure and a privilege to bring you the sights and sounds here from Abidjan, from the Palais de Sport de Treichville. Until the next time, I will bid you farewell, adieu, and bye-bye.